They are everywhere, yet invisible. Their symbols are etched into the architecture of power. Their members walked the corridors of history's most decisive moments, and their influence shaped nations, all while the world watched and never knew. This is the true power of the Freemasons. For centuries, Freemasonry has been shrouded in secrecy, rumor, and intrigue. Popular culture often portrays them as shadowy puppet masters, controlling governments and economies. But the truth is far more subtle, far more fascinating, and entirely safe to explore. The real power of the Freemasons lies not in conspiracy, but in organization, philosophy, and the ability to influence through networks, principles, and education. Freemasonry began with medieval stonemasons, skilled craftsmen who built the cathedrals and castles of Europe. These artisans formed guilds, protecting their trade secrets and supporting each other in a time when knowledge was power. Membership was exclusive, requiring mastery of craft and loyalty to the guild. As Europe transitioned into the Renaissance, these guilds began accepting members outside the trade, evolving into fraternal societies emphasizing ethics, learning, and philanthropy. By the 17th and 18th centuries, Freemasonry had developed into a structured organization with lodges, rituals, and symbolic teachings. Symbols like the square and compass taught ethics, balance, and integrity. Rituals conveyed lessons about personal growth, responsibility, and social cohesion. Lodges became centers of learning, debate, and mutual support, cultivating members who would later occupy influential positions in politics, commerce, and society. The Freemasons' early power came from knowledge, mentorship, and cohesion, not from domination. Their secrecy was practical, not sinister, a means to protect values, knowledge, and principles. One of the most fascinating aspects of Freemasonry is its impact on history and governance. In the American colonies, many founding fathers, including George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, were Freemasons. Their philosophies of liberty, equality, and fraternity echoed Masonic principles. In Europe, intellectuals and reformers who were Freemasons contributed to political revolutions, constitutional debates, and social reforms. Freemasons often served as mentors, advisors, and patrons, influencing decisions without overt control, demonstrating soft power rather than coercion. Through shared ideals and ethical frameworks, Freemasons created networks that connected thinkers, leaders, and innovators across continents. These networks amplified their influence subtly, shaping societies without ever needing to dominate them openly. Freemasonry is rich in symbolism, often misunderstood as cryptic or conspiratorial. The square and compass represent morality, precision, and self-discipline. The all-seeing eye signifies knowledge, vigilance, and spiritual insight. Rituals, ceremonies, and allegorical stories teach ethical behavior, personal responsibility, and leadership. Symbols were not intended to control the world, but to educate members, unify communities, and transmit values across generations. Every emblem, ritual, or lodge meeting reinforced the Masonic commitment to personal and collective growth. Freemasons also exerted influence through tangible social contributions, building schools, hospitals, and orphanages, often in regions neglected by governments, providing scholarships, mentorship programs, and professional guidance to help communities thrive, creating local and international lodges that served as hubs for networking, collaboration, and problem-solving. Their power, therefore, lies in practical societal impact, combining philosophy with action to leave enduring legacies. The Freemasons demonstrate timeless lessons. 1. Networks and community amplify influence without coercion. 2. Ethical principles and shared values strengthen societies. 3. Education and mentorship create generational impact. 4. Secrecy and symbolism can inspire curiosity, reflection, and unity. 5. True power is subtle, persistent, and principled, rather than overtly dominant. By studying Freemasonry, we see that influence often works quietly, through philosophy, discipline, and shared vision, rather than visible conquest. They didn't conquer nations with armies. They didn't rule through fear. Their power came quietly, invisibly, Through ideas, influence, and networks, Freemasons shaped revolutions, governments, and culture, all without the world ever noticing. One of the clearest examples of Masonic influence is in the founding of the United States. Several founding fathers, including George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Paul Revere, and John Hancock, were Freemasons. Masonic principles of liberty, equality, fraternity, and ethical leadership were reflected in the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. Meetings in lodges served as spaces where ideas about governance, democracy, and civic duty could be debated, refined, and acted upon. The influence of Freemasonry was not magical. It was intellectual and social, creating networks of individuals who shared ideals and could support one another in positions of power. Across Europe, Freemasons also played a significant role in cultural and political transformation. Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire and Goethe engaged in Masonic lodges, spreading ideas about reason, liberty, and moral governance. Some Freemasons participated in reform movements and revolutions, including the French Revolution, using philosophy and ethics as guiding principles. Royal courts and governments sometimes included Masonic members, who served as advisors, diplomats, and influencers, subtly shaping decisions without overt power plays. Through shared ideals, mentorship, and ethical discourse, Freemasons became nodes of influence across Europe, impacting societies without wielding force. One of Freemasonry's greatest strengths is its ability to create interconnected networks. Lodges across countries allowed members to communicate, collaborate, and exchange ideas, forming a transnational web of influence. These networks fostered trust and loyalty, which were crucial in times of political change, exploration, and social reform. Members could support one another professionally, politically, and intellectually, magnifying the collective impact of the society. In many ways, Freemasonry demonstrated that soft power, the power of ideas, relationships, and influence, can be more enduring than armies or wealth. Freemasons emphasized education and philosophical development, contributing to cultural and intellectual progress. Lodges provided spaces for debate, learning, and moral reflection, cultivating disciplined thinkers and ethical leaders. Many Freemasons contributed to science, literature, and the arts, supporting innovation while promoting ethical principles. Freemasonry's commitment to knowledge sharing, mentorship, and self-improvement helped shape communities and leaders who left lasting legacies. Their influence demonstrates that ideas and mentorship can alter the course of history without public recognition. Even today, Freemasons exert influence in charity, education, and social cohesion. Lodges run scholarships, hospitals, and community programs, positively impacting millions of lives worldwide. Members often serve as mentors, leaders, and advisors, using experience and ethical guidance to shape society. The society emphasizes values, ethics, and service, showing that power can be exercised quietly, responsibly, and effectively. The modern Freemasons remind us that true influence does not need to be loud or public to be profound. The Freemasons teach enduring lessons about influence and power. 1. Networks amplify impact. Trusted relationships can shape societies without force. 2. Ethics and philosophy matter. Values guide actions more effectively than fear. 3. Education and mentorship create long-term influence, often spanning generations. 4. Soft power can shape history. Ideas, principles, and culture can be as influential as armies. Understanding Freemasonry is not about fear or conspiracy. It's about seeing how organized, ethical networks can quietly guide the course of civilizations. Behind the doors of lodges and beneath the carved stones of ancient cathedrals lies a system of knowledge and symbolism that has guided leaders, thinkers, and societies for centuries. The Freemasons did not rule through armies or wealth. They ruled through ideas, ethics, and secret teachings. Freemasonry is built on symbols, tools, images, and allegories that convey lessons in ethics, morality, and personal development. The square represents integrity and fairness, reminding members to square their actions with moral principles. The compass symbolizes restraint and self-discipline, encouraging balance between personal desires and duties. The all-seeing eye signifies vigilance, knowledge, and awareness. A reminder that actions are always observed by a higher principle. Every symbol serves a dual purpose. It is both practical and philosophical, teaching lessons that transcend the literal interpretation. Members are trained to see meaning in daily life, ethics, and leadership through these symbols. Freemasonry uses rituals as a form of experiential learning, rather than mere ceremony. Initiation rituals guide new members through allegorical journeys, illustrating moral lessons and personal responsibility. Degree ceremonies mark stages of understanding, reinforcing ethical values, discipline, and civic duty. These rituals create a sense of community, continuity, and shared purpose, binding members together across generations. While often misunderstood as secretive or mystical, rituals are primarily tools of moral and social education, fostering reflection, growth, and unity. At its core, Freemasonry emphasizes enlightenment, ethics, and personal development. Members are encouraged to seek knowledge, question assumptions, and pursue truth. Moral and philosophical principles are applied to leadership, decision-making, and community service. The society promotes tolerance, compassion, and ethical conduct, teaching that influence is most powerful when guided by values rather than coercion. This philosophy explains why Freemasons have historically had subtle but profound impact on society, shaping leaders who act with ethical awareness and civic responsibility. Freemasons also left their mark in architecture and urban design, embedding symbolism into buildings and monuments. Cathedrals, public buildings, and lodges often reflect geometric precision and symbolic meaning, from columns to staircases. Urban planning in cities where Masons were influential sometimes incorporates alignment, proportion, and symbolic references intended to convey moral or philosophical ideas. Symbols were often hidden in plain sight, teaching lessons only to those who understood their meaning, creating a culture of learning and reflection. Architecture was not meant to dominate or intimidate. It was meant to educate, inspire, and create cohesion among those who recognized its purpose. Symbols and rituals do more than guide members individually. They strengthen networks, creating bonds of trust and shared understanding. They promote ethical leadership, as members carry Masonic principles into public life. They inspire reflection and personal growth, ensuring that influence is grounded in morality rather than raw power. This is where the true power of Freemasonry lies. Not in secrecy, but in shared values, mentorship, and education, which ripple across society over generations. From symbols and rituals, modern society can learn. 1. Ethics and values are foundational to influence, more enduring than force or wealth. 2. Education through experience, not just memorization, creates lasting wisdom. 3. Networks built on trust and shared purpose can shape communities and nations subtly but effectively. 4. Symbolism and meaning provide continuity across generations, embedding culture, ethics, and knowledge. The Freemasons demonstrate that power is most effective when ethical, educational, and subtle, rather than coercive or overt. For centuries, whispers of secret influence and shadowy power have surrounded the Freemasons. Today, the myths persist, but the reality is far more remarkable. A society that shaped history not through fear, but through ethics, education, and the quiet power of ideas. Today, Freemasonry remains a fraternal and philanthropic society, emphasizing personal growth, ethics, and community service. Lodges worldwide organize scholarships, hospitals, orphanages, and community projects, directly impacting millions of lives. Membership focuses on personal development, mentorship, and civic responsibility, encouraging members to contribute positively to society. While secrecy is maintained in rituals, the organization is transparent in its charitable and social activities, countering the myths of hidden control. Modern Freemasons demonstrate that true power lies not in domination but in constructive influence, through education, ethics, and community engagement. Common misconceptions. The mystique of Freemasonry has fueled misconceptions. World domination myths. Popular culture often portrays Freemasons as controlling governments or banks. The truth is subtler. They influence through mentorship, shared values, and networking, not coercion. Conspiracy theories. Many myths exaggerate secrecy or manipulate symbolism. In reality, the teachings are moral, philosophical, and educational, not sinister. Exclusivity misunderstood. While lodges require membership, this is to maintain ethical standards, shared commitment, and integrity, not to plot control. Understanding these realities separates fact from fiction, revealing a society that values ethical influence over manipulation. Global impact and cultural legacy. Freemasonry's impact extends beyond politics or philanthropy. Education and knowledge. Lodges historically promoted literacy, debate, and intellectual growth. Members became scholars, inventors, and leaders, shaping the modern world through ideas. Architecture and symbolism. Masonic symbols appear in civic buildings, monuments, and art, creating a cultural footprint that communicates values of integrity, balance, and enlightenment. Philanthropy. Modern Freemasons continue charitable traditions, from disaster relief to scholarships, demonstrating that power can be exercised benevolently. Their legacy proves that quiet influence, grounded in ethics and education, often has more lasting power than overt authority. The Freemasons offer timeless insights about influence, ethics, and society. 1. Ethical power endures. Influence rooted in integrity is sustainable across generations. 2. Education and mentorship create lasting impact, far beyond wealth or force. 3. Networks of trust amplify positive influence, guiding leaders and shaping societies. 4. Subtlety can be more effective than control. Quiet, principled guidance often achieves more than dominance. 5. Cultural and philanthropic contributions matter. True legacy is measured in lives touched and knowledge shared. Through centuries of myths and misinterpretation, the Freemasons' real power lies in shaping minds, cultivating ethics, and guiding societies quietly but profoundly. The Freemasons remind us that power does not require intimidation or secrecy. It thrives in ethics, education, and connection. Symbols, rituals, and philosophy are tools for personal growth and societal influence. Even a hidden network can leave visible, enduring legacies in culture, education, and governance. By understanding the Freemasons, we learn that true influence comes from knowledge, moral integrity, and thoughtful action, not fear or domination. If you want to uncover the real story behind the Freemasons, their philosophy, influence, and enduring legacy, subscribe to Empire Mindset. Step beyond myths, explore centuries of ethical power, and discover how a society built on values quietly shaped history. The secrets of true influence are waiting. Will you explore them?